Good morning. Oh, come on. Good morning. This is supposed to be fun. You're out of the office. I'm surprised you're wearing pants. So, how many people got an email from at least 400 vendors at this event prior to, right? Okay, so, and I'm not criticizing anybody for doing that, but I want to tell you a story because what I'm here to help you understand is engagement, all right? How many people would say that you want to increase engagement with your audience through social media? Hopefully that's everybody in this room, otherwise you're in the wrong session. So, what I want to talk to you about is engagement, all right? And let me talk to you about the old school way of doing things and the new school way of doing things. This is what social media is. All right, so we all got emails from vendors saying, hey, I'd like to meet you at eTail East. I see you're going. I want to buy you a coffee, blah, 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 blah. And a couple of them, I don't know how many people got phone calls too? Anybody get phone calls? Everybody got phone calls too, all right? So when you come into my inbox, that's easy. I can manage that. I can say, search for the term eTail East and coffee and put that in my spam folder, delete it, whatever. I don't have to pay attention to it, right? But if you call me, that irritates the piss out of me. Because I don't want people calling me trying to sell me. This is the old school way of selling. It's a cold call sales call. Now again, it works, it's effective. There's a percentage of people who will answer the phone, et cetera, et cetera. But that's the old way of doing things. That's the old way of engagement with intent to sell. Social media presents a new way. So let me describe to you what would have been most effective for the vendors that were trying to get us to talk to them while we were here for eTail East. What's most effective, if you're just calling me a week or two before the event, you've already lost, right? What's most effective is if I walk in the door of the Marriott and I look for you because I know who you are already. That's what social media does. It lays a foundation for you as a company so that the prospects that you want to reach already know who you are. You're already top of mind. They see content from you on the internet, on Twitter, on Facebook, in their streams. They might read your blog. They might already subscribe to your newsletter. So what that probably should suggest to you is if all the content that you're churning out to engage your audience is sales material over and over again, you're not going to be the person that people are seeking out at eTail East. Because people are not always in a buying mode for your software. You have to broaden your content perspective and give them something to chew on when they're not in the buying mode. Make them smarter, right? You've got expertise in your company. Share that expertise with people. So that's just kind of a broad general statement of if I wanted to be a vendor at this event and I wanted to get a bunch of you to look at my software, see a demo, sign up for something, et cetera, I would probably do a really good job for 6 to 9 months before making sure that I'm putting out fantastic content, engaging people on social networks so that when I walk in the door at eTail East as a vendor, everybody wants to talk to me already, okay? So let me walk you through some ideas on how this actually applies to our business. First of all, let's address the word engagement. Let me give you a little, so we all agree that we want to increase engagement through social media, right, on our site. I think there's a problem with the e-commerce world especially, but also just general business folks, trying to focus on engagement. And it's not necessarily that they're doing anything wrong, it's they're thinking about it the wrong way. Let me give you an example. Hi, what's your name? Kelly, I'm Jason. I would like to engage you. Would you please engage me? I'm looking for some engagement. I only picked a female because it's 75% more awkward when I say that, right? That's what we're trying to do as companies. We're like, hi, would you please engage with me? Hi, engage me. I'd like to engage. Let's plug in and engage, right? What engagement is, especially on social networks, is just talking to people. You're just having conversations. You're like, hey, Kelly, where are you from? What do you do? You know, when'd you get in? How was the flight? All that kind of stuff, right? That's true engagement. We're trying to put these big hoity-toity words around it. I promise, with this one exception, I will not say the word synergy during this talk, right? We're trying to put these big labels on what we're doing. We're trying to say, oh, we drive engagement through social media. You talk to your customers. That's what you're doing. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be hard. We're putting too much business, too much marketing, too much CEO speak around what we're trying to do, and forgetting that sometimes it's just about having a damn conversation with someone. Okay? What that means when you're talking to your customers is you not only want to talk about your product or service, but you also want to talk about football, if they want to talk about football. You also want to talk about their kids, if they want to talk about their kids. It's okay to do that. Imagine that you go to a networking event. Maybe it's the evening networking events here. Actually, this is a bad example because there's a lot of vendors here trying to sell you something, right? But let's say you're in a Rotary Club, or you're in your local Chamber of Commerce has an after-hours networking event. It is a business environment. It's a business-related thing. But if you walked into a room like that with a megaphone screaming, "Click my junk, see my sales, blah, blah, blah," people roughly my size would escort you from the room. That's what you're doing when you're trying to hammer people on social media with your sales message. What you do in those social situations is you walk in and you walk around and you see all these pockets of conversation going on, and you listen. You listen to the conversations until you hear someone say something that triggers, "Ooh, I can talk about that. They're talking about sports. They're talking about cars. They're talking about kids. I can relate." And so you kind of, go over to the little circle and you stand there, sometimes a little awkwardly at first, until they recognize you, go, oh, and they expand the circle and they let you in. And then at the first moment when everybody sort of turns to you, when the blowhard like me is done with his story, you have an opportunity to say, "Hi, I'm Jason. Who are you guys?" And you introduce yourself. That's your first opportunity to make that connection, to start having that conversation. But you don't immediately jump into it and start selling your wares, because then people get creeped out and they move on and don't want you in their circle. Well, that's what you got to do in social too. So that's a long-winded way of saying, let me show you a couple of examples of what CafePress is dealing with. And I've actually got another case study here besides CafePress that I want to show you that talks about how companies are leveraging social media engagement, i.e. talking to their customers, in order to be successful online. So let me give you a little bit of, first of all, I put this slide in here because the description of the talk said I would, so I did. So why do we gravitate to some brands? And I put some thought into this. We typically will gravitate to a brand for one of 3 or 4 reasons. Number one, they have fantastic products, right? I happen to be a Mac head. I love Apple products. I think they have fantastic products. They have relatively no social media whatsoever, but I gravitate to them anyway, and I'm loyal to that brand because I love what they build. And I'll give you another interesting example that opposes that in just a minute. Or they have great service, right? There are lots of people who brag about Zappos. Zappos sells shoes. There's lots of damn people that sell shoes. Now, Zappos sells more than shoes now, I know that. But there's a lot of people out there who sell the same shoes that Zappos sells. But why does Zappos stand out? Because they have incredible, incredible service. So people are loyal to them for that. Companies that we gravitate to, if they don't have great products and they don't have great service, they're pretty much, well, shit out of luck, probably. But if they don't have one of those two things, we might gravitate to them because they treat us with respect, right? That's part of the service thing too. But if they make you feel like you're on the same level with them in those conversations, you like them. You're like, okay, I can have a conversation with these folks. I'll at least, like them on Facebook, et cetera, et cetera. But the biggest thing, the one that really focuses on building community and that real true engagement in mass that we're all shooting for, is that the brands that we gravitate to make us feel like we're a part of something bigger. They make us belong. They make us feel like we belong. Now, that's not always easy to do. Sometimes it's around the product, sometimes it's around the service, and sometimes it's just around community. You bring like-minded people together and have conversations, and they feel like they belong to something cool. All of these brands down here have some piece of that. Many of them have multiple pieces of that. But here's another critical point that I want everybody to think about. One of the biggest differences in sort of the non-e-commerce retail world, when you're talking about offline and true consumer retail, maybe even professional services, et cetera, and the e-commerce online retail world that I found when I first came to CafePress back in December of last year, was how decisions are made in marketing. Okay? How many of you in the e-commerce world spend more than 75% of your budget on customer acquisition? Do you know? Anybody know? 75% or more. The average, by the way, the industry average, is about 90%. E-commerce folks spend 90% of their budgets on customer acquisition. They spend 10% of their budgets on customer retention. Guess where about 60% of your sales come from? Customer retention, repeat customers. Why is that? Because we make crazy decisions in the e-commerce world based on spreadsheets and databases. Decisions in the e-commerce world are made by Excel or made by people reading Excel. Decisions in the other world of marketing are made in a mixture. They look at data, yes, and data is important, and there are a lot of data-driven marketers that make data-driven decisions. But there's an element in the non-e-commerce world that comes into play that's not decisions based out of databases, not decisions based out of spreadsheets, and that is they make decisions based on human beings. That's another element that social media brings to you. It allows you to see the human element, the faces and the names and the personalities that you touch with your business. Okay, so we have to think about that. Now, in that regard, I point that out because we also, in the e-commerce online retail world, and in a lot of business, not just the online world, we also have this idea that I have to go out there and get every customer, that I have to grow 30, 40, 50% year over year in order to be successful. And therefore, when you start thinking about building community and building fans and growing fans, you think, well, I have to grow 30, 40, 50% year over year in order to be successful. Well, I've got some hard news. I've got a bitter pill for you to swallow today. Both in business and in community, this is not an end-sum game. Apple is a very successful company. I love Apple products. But guess what? They don't need everybody in the world to buy Apple products for them to be successful. In fact, there's an entire probably 50%, maybe more of the world doesn't buy Apple products. And yet they are the computer company that everybody talks about. This is not an end-sum game. You don't have to own 100% market share in order to be successful. And it's okay to only own 30% and be comfortable with that. Sure, you want to set goals. Yes, you want to improve. I'm not saying you don't want to aspire for something bigger and better, but we need to stop this mentality that I have to go out and gobble up everything. And we certainly need to not have that mentality when you're on the internet trying to engage with your fans, talk to customers, and build community. I can promise you that if you build something from a community standpoint that is worthy of your customers coming and aggregating around you, whether it be on Facebook, whether it be in forums, on your website, whether it be on Google+, wherever it is, if you build something worth people coming to, the first thing that will happen is that you will have some people out there who will be jealous of you. You can be well-loved, and you can be popular, but you can't be popular and loved by everybody. It's not possible, right? There's going to be a segment of the world that you don't reach and you're not going to reach, and you need to be okay with that. So that sort of sets in mind an idea here that I want to share with you. When I came to CafePress back in December, let me give you a little bit of a history. CafePress started in 1999, okay, pre-dot-com bust, and we're still around. Been doing this a long time. And when we started out, we offered, I think it was T-shirts and coffee mugs, and you could have whatever your design was printed on them, print-on-demand solution. We were offering 2 or 3 products back then. Now we offer almost 600. You can actually print your design, your kids' pictures, your artwork on shower curtains, if you'd like. And actually, they're a big seller for us right now, so if you want a custom shower curtain, you can even do like a creepy picture of somebody going, ugh, you know, so it's pretty fun. But anyway, so that's what we do. We started in 1999. And we started using the shops model. Okay, this is an example of a shop. So we were the e-commerce back end for other people so that they could upload their artwork and then sell their artwork on their own website, even though we were sort of the e-commerce back into it. When you went to CafePress.com from 1999 to 2005, all you could do was sign up for the e-commerce back end. There was nothing else there. That was our early business model. And then we realized, wait a minute, we've been doing this for 6 years, and we got millions of designs, there's probably a way that we can help our shopkeepers out by driving more eyeballs to their designs. So we opened up the marketplace. And we said, kind of like Amazon, we're going to pull all these designs on products in from all these shopkeepers and put them in one place, and we're going to start spending money on search engine marketing and whatnot to get eyeballs there so that we can supplement what our shopkeepers are making. And I'll do this in reverse, although it's confusing to me, it won't be confusing to you. So if you look at the financial growth of our company, it's like shop, marketplace, right? That was our hockey stick. When we figured out, if we spend the money and the time and energy to get a lot of eyeballs on all this content in aggregate, everybody makes more money. They make more money, we make more money, et cetera, et cetera. But we made a mistake. And this was 2005. We were still figuring out this whole marketplace thing. We didn't really know how it worked. And over the course of 3 or 4 years, we realized, wait a minute, in your shops at the time, you can't do this anymore. In the shops, you could set your own price, pad in your own margins, make however much money you wanted to make if you could get people to buy stuff more expensively. In the marketplace, we allowed people to continue not to set their own prices necessarily, but there was a similar commission structure, 20-some-odd% in shops, 20-some-odd% in the marketplace from 2005 to 2009. However, in that time, we were actually spending more money on resources, spending more money on search engine marketing, et cetera, to bring that traffic to the marketplace. We made a mistake of not adjusting our commission structure when we first did the marketplace. So what happens when you correct a mistake 4 years later? You piss everybody off. In 2009, we realized what we did wrong, and we fixed it. We said, hey, there's going to be a 10% commission over here. You can still have your 20% over here. I think we even bumped it up a little bit. And we took away the ability for them to set their own prices because nobody was buying the higher priced items. It was simply a no-go. Nobody would pay $39 for a t-shirt, right? So we did that, and it was the smart business move. And the shopkeepers that we've talked to over the years about it, who understand a little bit about business, understand it was a smart business move, that we had to do it in order to be able to continue to put eyeballs on their content. It was necessity. It was required. But we didn't do a really good job in 2009 of communicating that, and nobody really understood why we were doing it. They saw it as the big greedy company coming for more of my money. And unfortunately, there were some people who were really adversely affected by the commission shift from going from making $80,000 a year to making $50,000 a year. I mean, we dropped a lot of people's revenue by doing that. There were some negative impacts. They were isolated, yes, but there were some negative impacts. So we pissed a lot of people off. So I was hired in 2012 to deal with people who looked like this. Because from 2009 to 2012, we were running things the way e-commerce companies run things. We weren't worried about community. We had a forum. It was kind of a peer-to-peer forum. People from the company would drop in and make announcements, but we weren't really engaging. We weren't talking to our customers. We were posting things on Facebook, but we weren't really having conversations. And quite frankly, most of the conversations that were taking place on our own site, on our forums, were really negative because we made people so mad. So I was actually hired to come in and reinvent community and engagement at CafePress. And I walked into a situation where I was in a hornet's nest. I had a lot of people really, really pissed. Now, it had been a few years, so some of the anger had died down. A lot of our shopkeepers, well, I wouldn't say a lot, but some of our shopkeepers left for other print-on-demand solutions for our competitors. And that was fine. We understood that. But I came into a situation where the community was really, really negative. So I'm going to show you what we've been doing to reinvent community and engagement and whatnot at CafePress. But I'm starting from a very different place from where you probably are, because hopefully you've been smart enough over the years to not make the same kind of mistakes CafePress made in 2009, and you don't have a bunch of angry customers you're dealing with, right? So starting from the lows of lows. What we have to do to fix this community issue is we have to look at engagement. We have to look at talking to our customers, both from a technology standpoint and from our actual behavior standpoint. We have to give them tools to let them work better, give them tools that help them communicate better, certainly explain how to use those tools very well, but then we also have to be there. We have to be accountable as a brand. We have to be in our forums. We have to reopen those lines of communications. We have to share responsibility with and ownership with our audience. They are responsible for part of our business. We are responsible for part of our business. We can't do it without each other. If we didn't have designers at CafePress, we would sell blank stuff. Nobody's going to buy blank stuff. If you want to buy blank stuff, you go to Amazon. If you want to buy stuff that looks awesome, you go to CafePress. We need those designers, right? So we have to partner with them. We have a very unique sort of collaborative economy there with CafePress. We have to change our value system. How many people in here refer to the folks that you're trying to sell, the folks that you're trying to bring into your marketing funnel as prospects? Or prospects. How many people refer to them as target markets? Target markets, you heard that? I refer to the people that we're trying to get to come and both design and buy at CafePress as our friends, because it's human. I am not a target market. If I was, I'd be a big one, but I am not a target. I am not a prospect. I am a person. I'm a human being. And I want to deal with companies, remember, that make me feel like I'm a part of something. If you're making me feel like I'm a part of a pie chart, I have no interest in you. If you make me feel like I'm a part of something important, something human, something valuable, okay, I'm going to pay attention, right? So it's just a slight mindset shift in, we're talking about people, we're talking about human beings, so we have to change that terminology and that mindset. We have to value people versus customers. We have to value opinions versus actions. I don't only want you to click on something and buy it. I want to know what you think. I want to know your feedback. I value that because I want you to be a repeat customer, because remember, 50, 60, 70% of our business is coming from those people that stick around. And we have to foster and coach better communications, and I'll tell you a couple interesting stories about how we do that. So the first thing we got to do is give them tools to work better. This is the new design list, which we just launched a couple of weeks ago at CafePress. In the old days, 3 weeks ago, you took a logo and you uploaded it. Sometimes you uploaded it into the old Shops tool, which is the old business model. Sometimes you use what's called Design and List, and you uploaded it into our marketplace. But you uploaded this one image, and then you picked the products you wanted it to be on, and then you had to go into each product and manipulate it. And it took hours to get one image on products in our marketplace, especially if you were new and didn't really know what you were doing. So now we've developed a new technology, some smart product technology, that takes the image and puts it through a series of algorithms and automatically applies it to the products that it best fits on. Now that green check mark is kind of cut off on some of these things, so we would have to probably resize, we would have to make it transparent background, et cetera, et cetera. So I just did this really quickly to show you what it might look like, but this took 3 seconds to create these products with that design on it. You upload the image and boop, 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 boom, boom. Image on products right in front of you. So we're giving them better tools. We're allowing them to work faster, more efficiently. These tools aren't, this is an iterative process. They're not perfect yet, but they're getting better every day. We do a new release every week, and we're listening to the community feedback, and we're improving the tools. So we're giving them tools to work better. We're giving them tools to communicate better. The average time it takes for a new design, a new designer, a new individual to upload an image on CafePress, the average time from that upload to the first time they sold over the course of our company from 1999 on. So this is a little bit skewed data. But the average length of time for your first sale was like 600 days. All right, 2 years. How many people remember what you uploaded to a website 2 years ago? Right? I don't remember what I uploaded to websites last night. Okay? So we had to figure out how to, A, close that down. So prioritize or reward new somehow. Here's the latest uploads. That's one way to do it. But we also had to know that if the designs weren't all that great, if the designer wasn't producing things that the community liked, then we had to close that gap even more. So we sort of thought about, let's focus on designer engagement, talking to our designers, feeding them with information rather than just commissions. And let's figure out how we can present that information to them in a compelling way. So your new engagement dashboard at CafePress now has your activity over here. You can see how much sales and earnings you have but you can also see how many people have viewed, liked, commented on your designs. You also have an activity stream here in the middle of the page that will actually tell you this person added a new design, so you can follow designers. You also get notifications in that activity stream or via email if you want them, via email, that tell you when people are interacting around your content. So while the average sale might be a year, 9 months, whatever, or it might even be 6 weeks, I haven't looked at the metrics lately, the average length of time between you uploading a design and you getting information about that design, feedback from our community, is down to less than a day now. So we're exciting you about your designs right off the bat. And again, it's not that these people necessarily, they certainly want sales, but that's not the only thing that keeps them interested, right? We're feeding them information, we're engaging them, we're giving them something to think about and talk about when they log in to CafePress. We also are making it easier for people, shoppers on CafePress, to find designers and like designs. So if you see that Kenny Art from Oak Harbor in the US, wherever Oak Harbor is, if you see Kenny Art and you see these designs, you're like, I really like these designs. If I saw more art from this designer on a regular basis, I would probably buy more of that art because I appreciate her style. You can now follow her. We've got this little follow button up here. You can also connect with her on social networks, see that other people are liking and following her content as well. So that designer engagement piece is also beneficial to the consumer, to the shopper who's coming to our site, because they're seeing verification that these people are good and they're able to follow them and get notifications when they upload new content. So we're engaging the shopper as well. We're also, and this is actually Al's group, Social Annex helps us power this, we're also making it easier for our shoppers to help our designers, and certainly for our designers to help themselves. We have developed a share and win program using Social Annex software. We give away $1,000 a month to the person who shares the most content from CafePress, because we know that those social actions help boost our search engine rankings. Those social actions put our content organically in front of other people. So we've said, hey, if you're going to share our content, share it a lot, and we'll give you a check. A little competition, a little engagement, a little gamification, sure. But now you can find the Share and Win tab. You can pick out the design on that page that you like. You could even customize your message and share it across these social networks. The first month we did this, we had about 8 million potential impressions. Now, potential impressions is a bullshit term, right? Because it's not how many people saw it. It's how many people could have seen it based on the number of followers and fans that everybody who posted it, came up with. But a measure of success in looking at that number is, what did we do from June to July? In June we did 8 million. In July we did 158 million, right? So it's growing, and it's growing exponentially. And so potential impressions is not an important metric to me. It's something that it's a benchmark I'm looking at, but I'm looking at other metrics too that Social Annex helps us collect. How many people actually clicked through? About 20,000 or so, I think, last month. How many people actually purchased? How many orders were placed? And what was the value of those orders? So we're driving incremental revenue organically through a social sharing contest in the 5-figure range each month. So the contest is paying for itself. In fact, the first month, in June, the lady who won the contest, who won $1,000, herself drove over $500 in referral revenue to CafePress in sharing that content. And we're able to see that down to the individual person, right? So we're giving our shoppers and our buyers the opportunity to help spread the love of CafePress. We're incenting them to do that with a contest. Some of them are doing it because they want to. Others are doing it because they want the money, and that's fine. But this also helps our designers because it drives that social recognition and sharing around the content there. We're also helping our designers by uplifting their designs and posting them on Facebook. And so when you find a good, and notice we're not posting products on Facebook. Facebook is not a place where people go to shop. Facebook is a place where people go to, if you're older than 40, what do you do on Facebook? If you're older than 40, you look at pictures and stuff of your kids and your grandkids. If you're under than 40, why are you on Facebook? Stalk your ex. That's what you do. So people want to be entertained and engaged, right? And so we take a design, not a product, but a design. This was our Wednesday design last week. We got 5,600 shares, 2,400 likes, and I can't remember how many comments, a couple hundred comments probably on this one post. And every time someone takes one of those actions, it appears in their news stream, and their friends see it. So we're acquiring an audience, i.e. acquiring customers on Facebook, but we're also serving up designs from our designers, which is part of a customer retention play. So it all kind of interweaves together, right? So we're giving them the tools to communicate better. We're also upgrading our forums. Our forums were designed and built in roughly 2003, right? They're old school forums, threaded discussions. So by the end of this month, we should be upgrading the actual forum communications platform where our internal audience can have conversations and engage with one another. And we're going to be able to present them with kind of an internal blog that is more focused on how do I design better, how do I make more commission at CafePress, et cetera, that's going to serve that internal audience, while our external blog serves that consumer of engaging them around the merchandise and whatnot that we sell. And so what happens when you start giving them these tools and you start showing up in the forums yourself and turn that peer-to-peer platform into an actual engagement platform where the company is present too, you get reactions like these from people who are like, oh my God, someone from CafePress is actually listening. Someone from CafePress actually responded in this thread. It does a couple of different things for you that are very nice. It makes people like you better, and it makes the assholes go away. Because if they know you're watching, they're not going to come in and say, CafePress sucks. You can also come in and say, hey, that behavior does not fly around here anymore, so if you want to say that, go somewhere else. We don't want you. And that's part of sort of injecting your company into the conversation. These are our own forums. And I actually had somebody who's being a little bit of a pain in the butt on our forums the other day say, you're condescending and rude, we don't like your attitude, blah, blah, blah. And I said, okay, I don't mean to be condescending and rude, I don't mean to come across that way, but what you need to understand is these forums are owned and operated by CafePress. You are sitting in my living room calling my engineers idiots. If you did that in the real world, I would throw your ass out of my house. Clean it up or go away. It's my room, right? It's our house. And I think that's okay. Now, obviously, you need to do it a little bit more tactfully than I just explained it. But I have actually said that in our forums. Clean it up or you can leave, right? You have to be able to assert yourself with your own community if a couple of them start branching off that way. So real quickly, let me take you through a case study that's not mine, but just because I like it. Club Carlson did this on their website recently. They're driving growth through Facebook promotions, and so you're going to hear a lot about running promotions and deals and gamification and whatnot throughout the day. They went from 20,000 fans to 100,000 in just 2 quarters. They're also driving engagement on Facebook organically. They found that photos of their properties and the resorts and whatnot that they have work a lot better than others. Their engagement rate with their total audience on Facebook, people who were responding and comment, jumped up 6% when you have 100,000 fans. That's somewhat significant, right? So it jumped up 6% in less than a year. Their click-throughs tripled in 2 quarters on Twitter because they were saying, hey, retweet if you also like Cancun or whatever. Just basic little questions and whatnot they were making the ask of please retweet this. They drove their fan growth through Facebook promotions went from 20K fans to 100K in 2 quarters. I guess I have that on there twice. Must have copied and pasted that. But this is what the revenue looks like compared to the revenue is the blue lines, and the new followers and new fans are the yellow and red. So when you engage people on these social networks, because of the way the social networks are built, your content goes inherently viral to a degree. Not like, 12 million views on YouTube viral, but 400 or 500 people see it from a relevant audience. They're getting the recommendation, referral from a trusted friend, et cetera, et cetera. And so revenue goes up. What do you need to measure? What do you need to measure? To measure engagement, to measure how you're talking to your fans, right? Well, these are the metrics that I think are important for what we're doing as an e-commerce retailer. Traffic from social networks certainly is important because if you're smart, you know for every X traffic number of people, we convert Y%, we drive Z revenue, right? So that's something that you can affect using social. I like to say action rates before conversion rates because your action rates are, did they click, did they give us an email address, did they do something? Conversion to me is giving me money. If you buy something, I've converted you into a customer. If you give me your email address, you've just taken an action. You've given me a way to better sell you to give me money. So I measure action rates. Are they clicking? Are they giving me email addresses? Are they sharing on social networks? Are they a valuable community member? Conversion rates, obviously we know that. Are they buying things? Compare your conversion rates of your social media audience to that of your general audience, and I promise you're going to see that that social consumer, the one that you engage on a more frequent basis, is worth more money to you than your general audience. So that's another way that you could argue for budget and resources, et cetera, et cetera. Average order value, again, compare the two, regular customers versus socially engaged customers. You can also look at the average order value by social network. That'll help tell you, do I spend time on Pinterest? Do I spend time on Facebook? Do I do both, et cetera? So it'll help you understand, when I share something on Pinterest, the average order value is $90. When I share it on Twitter, it's $6. Where are you going to spend your time, right? You can help prioritize that way. And then you can actually do some math and come up with revenue per fan or follower from social networks. Some of the tools like Social Analytics can help you do that, but you can also do the math yourself, and that's going to help you understand the value of your engagement. That's me. That's my time. Good morning.